Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl here again, Gracie Caps. So to start this eyeshadow look on her, I'm going to start by cleaning her face with my face cleanser from Isa and Do's, and I'll just be cleaning everywhere possible before I start my application. So I use that two eyeshadow base, a lighter shade and a brown base, because I didn't want the base to look very bright. I had to dilute it with a brown base, so that's why the eyeshadow base is not looking very white, neither is it looking brown. So I'm just sweeping it on her eyelid to under her brow bone and all, so that um because that's where I want all my eyeshadow to appear. So, and I'm doing this with a very fluffy brush so that there will not be harsh lines, and I'm using that same brush I used to apply the base to pick my first transition color. And I'm going to just be doing blending the transition color in her crease and everywhere. So I'm doing it in a circular motion, and I'm picking it bit by bit. I am building my colors until I get the shade that I want or the concentration that I want. I will not stop adding. It is advised that when you are building your colors, you take them bit by bit. You don't go and dip your brush in your eyeshadow palette, rub it and put it on your eye. By doing so, you put too much color on your eye, and at the end of the day you might not be able to reduce it. So building of colors when you are applying your eyeshadow is very important. Don't pack your colors, except you can really control it. Don't pack. For me, I like to just take it bit by bit, build it, and then see how it is going before I continue. So for the second color, I'm going with a small fluffy brush, and I'm starting from the crease, and I'm going to apply it, make it look like it is half cut crease, but it's not a cut crease. So I'm using this small brush because I don't want the color to spread too much, because I can control it. So I'm using a smaller brush, and I'm using this brush to apply and blend. It's important that when you're creating your eyeshadow look, you have different shapes of brushes. That will help your eyeshadow look to come out the way you expect it to come out. You cannot be using big brushes for areas that require small brush. That way it might not come out the way you're expecting it to come out. So I'm just using this small fluffy brush, to blend and apply, and then I went in with a clean brush that I've not used before, which is also very fluffy, to blend the edge of this second color so that it can move gently into my first transition color. And if you notice, I keep adding and blending, because I don't want any part looking less concentrated or more concentrated. So that is basically how I like to work on my eyeshadow or apply my eyeshadow. I add, I blend, I add, I blend, I add, I blend. So I have different shapes of brushes and sizes that I use. For parts that I want I want a smaller brush, I go with a smaller brush. For the parts that I want a big brush, fluffy one, I go with it as well. For the part that I want a stiff brush, I still go in, so that that exact look that I want will come out as I want it after creating it. So I'm just going to blend, apply, blend, and then I will go back in with the third brush that I used to blend the edge of this first color into the second color into the first color. You can see that's exactly what I am doing. so that there will not be demarcation between both colors. And then before applying the main color on the eyelid, I went back in with my eyeshadow base again, just sweep it on it because it was already dry, and because I am going in with a matte color first, I have to go back in to apply that base and then my matte color. So I'm using this bright color and I'm just going to press it into or onto the eyelid rather, because I want it to absorb the eyeshadow base that is there, that is still wet. I am pressing it on it, and so that, and because I want the concentration to be I want it to be visible rather, so I'm pressing on it. I'll go back and press it. So I press like one spot 2 to 3 times. Make sure everywhere is well absorbed, or what's the best word, and make sure that the base, the eyeshadow base, absorbed the eyeshadow that I'm applying on it completely. Then I will go back in with the brush I use in applying the color in the crease to gently blend the edges together so that there will not be demarcation between this very light color on the eyelid and then the color in the crease. That's exactly what I'm doing. Just a light one, light hand is how I am applying this. I'm just sweeping it a little so that there will not be demarcation between them, gently. So after looking at the eyeshadow color very well, I decided to add a shimmer color on the lighter part because leaving it like this looked like what I've created before. So I wanted to change it. I added this color on the eyelid, aligned with my liner, and then my moisturizer from Blue Zone Cosmetics is what I'm going to be using to moisturize our skin. And then I'm going to still use my hand to blend it into her skin before I go in with my face primer. So I'm just going to use my hand to blend it, sweep and blend, massage it into her skin gently before the next step. So that's just what I'm going to be doing here, blend and blend. And I make sure I moisturize under the eye very well. Under the eye needs more hydration because of the concealer and the setting powder, so that it will not be creasing later. So I'm using, for primer, I'm using this Zara oil free pores minimizer, then foundation from Younger Beauty, and then I added my makeup seal from Hegai and Esther rather, and then I mixed all of them together before applying it on the face. So I'm using my brush to do this because the brush helps the foundation to sit in well before I go in with my beauty blender. Like I said earlier, I've said it in my previous videos that I like to use that makeup seal because it helps the foundation to be lightweight. If the foundation you're using is thick, if you add that makeup seal in it, it will make it lighter. It will just make it lighter. Then it also helps the foundation to last long, or the makeup rather, to last longer, because it takes the oil out of the foundation and all. Except the foundation you're using is very, very mattifying, then you don't need it. But the foundation I'm using right now, which is from Younger Beauty, it's oil free, but it is not as mattifying as other foundation, which is very drying and all the rest. So I like to just add it inside. So after using my brush, I usually go back in with my beauty blender to just seal up the face, because the brush sometimes opens some part of the face. There's a way you apply with the brush and it opens it. So using beauty blender on it, seal the rest of the face. In some part that is not well concentrated, you just cover it up with the beauty blender. That's just basically what I am doing. So I take my time to blend, and when I'm blending with this beauty blender, I don't go in with my beauty blender empty. I always make sure that I take foundation, rub it, and then apply. So I apply everywhere, jawline, forehead, everywhere. This jawline is very important because some persons don't remember, and at the end of the day it looks like your face is cut. So I'm using this blush and bronzer or contour from Omari Code. So that's just what I used. I've actually highlighted. If you want to see how I do my highlights, you can go back to watch my previous video. You see how I did my highlights, my highlight application, and all the rest. So I'm just going to first of all set my highlights, and I like to use the beauty puff, and I take my time when I'm setting, because I until the under eye is as dry as I want it, I will not move to the next eye, because if it's not dry enough, if the person start tearing, it will break. Sometimes too, the person does not even need to start tearing. If the person is this very oily person, it will break. You're not even done with the makeup, it will break. So I like to take my time to really set underneath the eye very well before I start doing my powder and the rest of it. And after blending under the eye or highlighting under the eye, I always go back in, because if you look at under eye, after you have applied, you're talking to your client or your client is talking to you, some of them cannot keep their eyes up, so you always need to go back in with your beauty blender. And don't go back in with your beauty blender empty. Take the what's it called, the concealer you used before, or her foundation, and just blend it evenly before setting it, so that the line will not remain underneath the eye. If you don't set it, if you don't blend it before setting, you'll see the line after you have set. So it's very important that you should do that. So I'm using my beauty blender, rather my puff, to just make sure I go over all the places that I highlighted, and it's the same puff that I use to apply my powder first. I also mentioned it in my previous videos that I like to use my puff. So I still like to use this powder puff to apply my powder before I go in with the brush, because it also helps me to really dab the face very well, like set the entire face with my powder, because I like matte look. I'm a fan of matte look. I'm not a fan of dewy look. So using my powder puff to take my powder and blend all over the face helps to really dry the face, take up whether oil or the wetness from the foundation completely, and the face will be matte. So I do that first before going in with the brush, and I'll just use the brush to just powder around gently and everywhere that I have touched with the powder puff. That's just it. And then lightweight baking is what I do, because I don't like the under eye looking very thick. And for the brows, I'm using two brow pencils, one a darker one and a lighter one. So the darker one is just to create the line, and then the lighter one is to fill it in. That's all that I'm going to be doing. So because our brows is micro bladed, I'm just tracing it. I'm not doing too much. Our brows is not really hard. I'm just tracing it. The only thing that I notice is that this very dark brow pencil is overly dark. It is not what I was expecting, but I had to continue to use it since I've started already. So it makes the brow very, very dark, not the way I wanted it, but that's just how it is. We learn every day. So now that I've used it, when next I want to use it, because actually the first time I'm using that brow pencil, so next time I'll know how to handle it. It to be very okay with someone who is extremely dark, but not someone who is a light skin person. So I'm just filling it in, and then I will conceal underneath the eye. It's just the same process that I use in all my video. Fill in and conceal, fill in and conceal. That's just it. So I tried to fill it in very well, and I really like to draw my brows like well defined brows. That's what I like, so that I will not have issues trying to conceal the top of it. I just like to conceal the up, except when there is a little thing here and there at the top that I can just clean. But doing full concealing on top of the brow is not my thing. So to achieve that, I like to really take my time to draw my brows, so that I will not be having issues trying to conceal the top of my brows. So I just trace underneath, and most times I use my foundation to conceal underneath my brows. Most time, like 80% of the time, is my foundation that I use, except when the concealer and the foundation is the same. I always like to use my foundation. Sometimes I mix my foundation and my concealer. I hardly use only concealer to conceal underneath the brows. It's just my thing. I like it like that. So you can use yours too to conceal your brows. You don't have to go and buy one concealer for the up, one concealer for the down. You can use both your powder, what's it called, your foundation, to conceal underneath and on top of your brows. If you don't like underneath your brows looking like a foundation, you can use your foundation to conceal on top of your brows, and use a concealer to conceal on under the brows. Yeah. So after this, I use a small brush to blend underneath. Then I went in to set underneath the brows, which is what I'm doing now, with the powder that I used to powder her face so that it can blend with her skin. After setting underneath the eye with the powder, I went in to blend the brow bone again with my first transition color, so that there will not be demarcation between the concealer under the eye and the brow bone. If you looked at it before I blended it, you will see that there is a demarcation between both of them. So because I didn't want it to look like that, I had to go back in to touch it up a little, so that there will not be demarcation between the two of them. Next is to apply my blush, and I did that after dusting off the excess powder underneath the eye. So I'm just applying the blush everywhere that needs to be applied, because the first the color that I used, the liquid blush, faded away, so I had to add it. And now I am going with my bronzer. So this is bronzer that I'm applying on the forehead, so that the forehead will not look empty, because I did not contour the forehead. So I was going the bronzer to bronze the forehead, so that there'll be life on the forehead. So that's just what I'm doing. And I also apply the bronzer on the contour area and down to the jawline, so that it will give depth as well. So that's basically what I'm doing, redusting under the eye. So after that, I went in with my beauty puff again to just be sure that underneath the eye is well dried and well set, and before I move into the next stage. So the next stage after this is the lip. So I'm using my Omarico lip pencil to line the lip. It's just to trace the line of the lip. And because after using the lip pencil, sometimes the lines are not smooth, I always go back in with a smooth brush to just blend the lip pencil or lipstick that I used in lining the lip. I make sure I blend them to be smooth and to be yeah, smooth is the right word, to be smooth. So I'm taking my time to do this. So after applying the pencil carefully, I will now blend it. At first I wanted a thin line, but along the line I decided that I want a line that is not very thin, so I went back in to increase it so that the pencil can spread downward of the lip. So that's just what I'm doing. So now I'm blending it with the smooth brush that I mentioned earlier. I'm just going to blend it so that it will be smooth and it will not be looking patchy before I go in with my nude color in the middle. So the nude color I'm using is actually from Younger Beauty Cosmetics as well. I'm going to just apply it in the middle. I like to really take my time and be sure that what I want is what I'm getting. So I take my time whatever I'm doing, and that's why I am going over the lip over and over again to be sure that it's well placed or well lined, and then I'll still blend it. It's makeup is work. You have to take your time in whatever you're doing. Just take your time, blend as you're applying blend. So I'm using a flat brush to apply it in the middle, and then I will blend it into the dark brown, up and down. It was looking a bit lighter, so at the end of the day I added a little another nude color, but a nude color that is a little peachy in the middle. So it didn't really come out exactly the way it is now. You will see the way it looks at the end of the video. So I'm just blending it into each other, blending both edges, pushing the light shade into the brown and the brown into the light shade, so that there will not be demarcation between the lighter shade and the brown that I use in lining the lip. So that's just what I'm doing, taking my time to blend to be sure that everything is as I want it. And I went in with these two glosses. I actually went in with the first color I used before these two glosses is a plain gloss, or did I say, yeah, transparent gloss is what I'm using right now. Then I added the two glosses I showed earlier in the middle, because those gloss are nude, they are not plain. So I wanted the color in the middle to pop. So I added those glosses in the middle after lining the darker parts with my plain gloss. Yeah, so that's just what I did for this look. As you can see, tell me what you think about this look. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment below, guys. Thank you so much for always supporting and watching my video. I really do appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. So I'm just applying the color and then I will blend, and I'm using the tail of the brush to just blend the glosses together, because I don't want the nude in the middle to move too down or too up, so I use the tail to control it. Then I'm smooching the color that I use in the crease underneath the eye and then I am going to set with my lock-in spray from BH Cosmetics. So that is just what that is how I achieved this look rather. So guys, thank you once again for watching, and I glued her cheekbone with Glow It from Beauty by AD here. So that is just how I created this look. What do you think about this look? Is this something you can do for your clients? Is this something you can rock on yourself? Is this something you can do for your model? Tell me what you love about this look in the comment section. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this look. And please, the noise in the background, please just ignore it. Thank you. See you in my next video. Bye.